Happy day, everyone. Josh, I see you're with us. Thanks for joining us on short notice like this. Appreciate it. So we'll get going here in a few minutes. Like when I shared with you after public comment, the mayor will ask for your comments. All right.
Yeah, I was monitoring that. I don't see her either, but I also don't see her on. Did she get missed on the invite list? Because I don't see her on the other. Oh, no, there she is. Okay, I'm wrong. Okay. Sorry.
There she is. I see her.
All right, and Mr. Nolip, you said we're clear? All right, I will call this City Council and Local Contract Review Board meeting to order. City Recorder Krager, please call roll.
Youth Councilor Calderon.
Here.
Councilor Goodhouse.
Here.
Councilor Newton.
Here.
Council President Lube.
Here.
Councilor Shaw.
Here.
Mayor Snyder.
Here. All right, I will ask everyone to participate in the Pledge of Allegiance on their own muted. Mr. Nolip, please put the flag up. All right, thank you. Council or staff, any non-agenda items?
None from us, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to public comment. Written public comment. City Recorder Krager, I believe we did not receive any written public comment, but I want to confirm that.
That's correct. We received none.
All right, and if folks want to make public comment via phone tonight, you are able to do so by calling 503-966-4101. Mr. Nolip, is there anyone in the queue?
Mr. Mayor, at this time, there are no callers in the queue.
All right, thank you. I will also comment that if callers want to make public comment on the public hearings on items number 4 and 5 on the agenda, they should call at the beginning of those items on the agenda. And again, they would call 503-966-4101. All right, Assistant City Manager Nyland, do you have follow-up to previous public comment?
I do. So we did not hold a council meeting last week, so no comments were received. However, council did receive public comment at your April 27th council meeting regarding a public park and outdoor destination at Metzger Elementary. Our team did respond at that meeting regarding that proposal, and staff also followed up with that constituent. We will continue to work with the school board about this possibility. And lastly, I believe we have a representative from Washington County who will provide an update about the development formerly known as the Colonies. So thank you, council, for your time. That concludes my update, and take it away, Josh.
Good evening, Mayor Snyder and council. Thanks so much for inviting me tonight to discuss our affordable housing properties in the city of Tigard. For the record, my name is Josh Kreitz. I'm the Assistant Director for the Housing Department within Washington County. So just really shortly, our department's mission is to provide safe, decent, and affordable housing throughout Washington County. And of course, the portfolio of buildings that we own and the ones in the city of Tigard are important assets that allow us to meet our mission. So I wanted to highlight a few items I think are of particular interest to your council. And of course, I'm available if there's any questions. So I think first and foremost, I want to really hone in on one thing, and that's the safety of our residents. So our portfolio is managed by a third-party property management company that works directly for us. And our property management company's process for handling any life and safety issues reported is to assess that situation and repair that situation immediately if possible. If that's not possible, we'll of course look at relocating residents to a hotel or another unit until that work can be completed. We also look at reasonable accommodations the same way. So I just want to state that that's the process that's being used at that site, at our other site in Tigard, and across our entire portfolio in general. Second, I wanted to just hit really quickly on the short-term and long-term site plan for the site there that has been in question in Tigard. So we're in the midst of a portfolio-wide strategic asset management plan. As part of that, our property management company has really inspected all of the units at this site. So on the short term, any immediate issues being identified are being fixed or will be remediated by our maintenance staff or contractors that are under contract with our property management company. On the long term, our development consultant, Bronner and Company, will be on site this week, and we'll also be using the information gathered from our property management company who went into every single unit in April and did an inspection, and our building envelope consultant who's already completed their work. They're out there in April, and we'll be building out that long-term scope of work for the long-term rehab of that site. And just to give you kind of an indication of maybe what you can expect, for the other 4 sites that we're working on a rehab right now, and we're further down that road, we have a general contractor and architect on board. We're doing $25 million in rehab at 4 other sites, one of which is Bonita Villa, which is a site there in Tigard, which I'm happy to report will be receiving around $10 million in rehab. Last, I just want to hit on just tenant communications. So in the upcoming week, next week, we're going to be hosting a tenant meeting at the site where we're going to be covering the work order process, how tenants can ensure that their work orders are being received, emergency work orders are being received, and how that gets processed, a grievance process if tenants have any issues with the property management company that they want to bring and they feel aren't being resolved. And we'll also be discussing the short-term and long-term maintenance and rehab plans for that property with the residents. The other thing that I want to highlight for your council is that we'll also make sure that residents know how they can contact our asset manager within our housing department. That way, if they have any issues that they feel are not being resolved by the property management company, they know that they can come to the department and have those resolved. So I know I just said a lot, and so I'm going to pause, and I'm not quite sure of the process this evening if there's questions, but I really appreciate your council's time.
Well, Josh, I want to thank you and the county. I know it took at least a couple weeks from our perspective to get the amount of attention and action I think that we thought was warranted. And I'm sorry that we had to push back a couple times and involve some of the county leaders. But I think we, as a council and myself as mayor, felt pretty strongly about the name of the facility, or the previous name that's now been removed. And so I just want to thank you for that, and also thank you for the work that happened over this weekend when I think Councillor Newton and I both were really concerned about some of the contact and follow-up that we were having, and the county's engagement in that and then addressing it is much appreciated. Councillor Newton, you want to add to that?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I too appreciate the follow-up that you did, and also appreciate the plans that you've got long-term for these properties. That's much appreciated. The only question I have is that folks that are going to be experiencing some major work in their unit, if it's necessary, and may have to relocate, will the county or somebody be contacting them so they're really clear about, you know, what's happening, what's going to happen, what they can expect? The impression I'm getting is a lot of these folks just have never been through this before, and so they don't really know what to expect. So if they're going to be relocated temporarily, so what's going to happen? How will they know? You know, so that's sort of the impression I'm getting. It's really that this is, you know, it's new. They don't know what to expect. And so I'm hoping or wondering if there's going to be some specific communication to those folks so that their just lack of understanding or not really knowing what's going to happen can be alleviated. So it seems to me like that's one of the biggest issues. But thanks for coming and filling us in, and thanks for your quick response over the weekend.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Are you?
You should be okay now. Councillor Newton's remuted herself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you for that question. I appreciate that question. So I would say this, in both the short term and any long-term work that we'll do, our property management company and our department, we have a lot of experience with, you know, if we have to do temporary relocation, working with the residents, working with what their needs are for, you know, example, kitchenettes, and really ensuring that they understand the timelines and what that's going to look like, and working with their individual needs. So as we get a little bit further in, for example, if it's a 2-day relocation or something like that, we'd work with that resident, talk through what their needs are, and give them really specific timelines. And the same would be if there's larger term work happening, you know, later on in the future. And I can commit to coming back to your council, you know, as we develop our scope of work and longer term plan, and updating you on that as well.
Thanks. Just a quick follow-up. So do they need to contact you if they have questions, or will somebody be reaching out to them? And is it the property manager or the county? Thanks.
Yeah, typically what we do is our property management company would be the first group reaching out to them. But if we're doing longer term, like redevelopment, rehab, and stuff like that, then the county tends to get a little bit more involved, and we want to be there at any meetings and communications with the residents, but they'll absolutely get outreached.
All right. Any other comments or questions on this? I know it's been a topic for the council that's gotten a lot of attention. Okay. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate your time tonight. We'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is to receive a report from our Tigard High School envoy. Caroline, you with us? And you might have a guest with you.
Yes, I do. It's a very exciting day. Okay, so in terms of like what's going on at Tigard, our spring sports season is wrapping up and our winter sports season is starting, which is kind of ironic because it's definitely getting a little warmer outside. We're having our virtual prom court, which is kind of similar to what we did for homecoming, and the winners of the prom court are just going to get surprised with a sash and a rose. Our Sparrow Club has done a really good job fundraising through community service. Since about 2 months ago, they've completed over 306 hours of community service and fundraised about $3,060 for our Sparrow. Our graduating class of 2021 is almost done with high school, which is super exciting for me. Our classes end on June 4th. We have like a senior assembly celebration on Wednesday, June 9th. And then we have our drive-through graduation on June 12th. And then the really exciting part of today is that I have next year's ASB president and vice president with me, who the ASB president is Elise Butera. The vice president is Jamie Toda. They're both fantastic, and they're such a dynamic duo, and they will be, I don't know, they're here to introduce themselves to you guys because they will be doing the report for next year. So if they want to say hello.
Hi, I'm Elise Butera. Yeah, I'm a junior this year, and I'm super excited to work with all of you guys next year. Yeah, I'm at Tigard High School. I'm involved in like their choir program, like the Black Student Union and stuff, and obviously the leadership program. But I'm super excited to be a part of this next year.
Well, thank you for introducing yourself, and we really look forward to working with you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Toda, and I'm going to be next year's ASB Vice President. So at Tigard High School, I am on the Tigerettes dance team, and then this past year, I have been the ASB Communications Chair. So I'm super excited to just be here and to get to talk to you guys.
Thank you for introducing yourself, and you've got big shoes to fill, so I trust both of you are up to the task, and we look forward to seeing you in the fall. Caroline, did you have anything else on your report out?
No, that's it. This is my last report out for you, everyone here. So I just want to say thank you for letting me crash your city council meetings for the past year. It's been super fun, and thank you for listening to all of the crazy random events that we've decided to put on the past year. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for your service to both your school and to our community more broadly. Council President Liu?
Yeah, I want to say thank you for coming every month and letting us know, what's going on in the school. And I just want to say, what's next for you? Where can we wish you well?
I will be going to the University of Miami, and I'm double majoring in philosophy and business law through their honors program.
That's incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, good luck and thank you. And we look forward to seeing you and hearing from you back in our community. All right, we will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is a report.
Two hands up. Two other hands up. There was Councilor Shaw and myself had hands up.
All right, Councilor Shaw.
Thank you. I took it down, Mayor, when you moved on, but I just want to thank Caroline and welcome Elise and Jamie. As a parent of a senior this year, you all have pivoted and done an amazing job with your events. And just want to say thank you very much for a difficult time and good luck, Caroline. We look forward to working with you two for the next year. So thank you.
Councilor Goodhouse.
Yes, thank you for the great job. And I don't know where, if we got any, last time I know what the update was, that we have any applications for the youth counselor, but with some of the youth on the call, we are looking for a youth counselor or anyone that might be wanting to apply for the next year's youth counselor. So maybe we've gotten some more applications, but if not, talk to Emilio and the mayor.
We luckily have gotten some applications, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't use some more. All right, we'll move on now to the report out from the Tigard Area Chamber of Commerce representative. Jessica Love, are you on the line?
I am. Good evening, Council. Jessica Love, Tigard Chamber of Commerce, Community Membership Engagement. So excited to talk to you all this month. We have a lot going on. We have our Leadership Tigard class that met today. They learned about communications and media. Councilor Goodhouse was one of our coordinators for the day. Nice job. And we want to thank Chief McAlpine for coming in and speaking to the class as well. That was very informational. And then we have our candidate endorsement committee. Last time I spoke with you, they were in the process of reviewing the Tigard-Tualatin School District Board candidates, and they have come out to support and do an endorsement for Octavio Gonzalez and then Marvin Lynn, so seat 3 and seat 5. And then we are also taking a yes position on measure 34305, which is the City of Tigard's City Center Urban Renewal. If anybody would like, we did host a panel discussion on the City Center Urban Renewal, and it is available to watch on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. And we appreciate Mayor Snyder and everyone that participated in that panel in assisting with that. We have our webinar Wednesday coming up on May 26th, and it is going to be on website 101. It is free for anybody to attend. And then save the date, we have Tigard Restaurant Month launching on June 1st. We're super excited to be launching this first annual event. And so community members can check out our tigardchamber.org website for more information. It will be a passport system similar to what we've seen in the past throughout downtown Tigard. We've been doing a lot of workforce development work. We've partnered with the Tigard Tualatin School District and the Tualatin Chamber to do a Women in STEM program that went really well. And then upcoming next, we have a job fair coming up on May 26th as well. That is where we're going to be connecting companies and students together that have job openings for people ages 16 to 18. And then we have networking every Thursday at 7:45 via Zoom. This week we're hosted by SQ Merchant Services, and then next week we'll be hosted by New Narrative. For more information on the Chamber, check out our website and our blog. We're always posting updates on COVID and all the things going on in the business world. And then for the farmers market, we have officially opened for our 29th season. Thank you to all the community that's come and supported us the last 2 weeks throughout the rain and the sun and the clouds and everything weather that we've had this season so far. And we are currently looking for vendors that sell dog treats, bread, dairy, and sauces. So if anybody knows of one, we would love to get those. Otherwise, we are almost sold out, which is amazing. And then for a Tigard Downtown Alliance, we are working on Art Walk 2021, which will be a mixture of in-person, safely in-person, and virtual. And that is looking to be the first or second week of June. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, Jessica, I want to thank the Chamber formally for endorsing our ballot measure for downtown urban renewal. I think we all think we've the city, and it's not just us as the current council, but councils and leaders in the community that have come before us have done really positive work in downtown, and we want that to continue. And I appreciate the Chamber's agreement and support that we've done a good job as a city in making progress, and that there's more progress to be made, and that this is a good way to do it. So I want to recognize that, and then also just let you know that I will be attending AM Networking this week. We're going back to trying to make sure that we have a member of council attending at least once a month, and so I will be there this Thursday morning. Anyone else have questions or comments? All right, I do not see any hands, so I will move us on. Thank you, Jessica. Good to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
And we will move on to update from Chief McAlpine, Police Department Dashboard Report.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council. Again, Chief Kathy McAlpine. And I'm already sensing a theme of a lot of positive, peppy, uplifting report outs. Nothing like following that to talk about crime and things of that nature. So let me take a quick swerve and at least accentuate some positive. Even though I'm reporting out for the April dashboard, in May we have 9 of our sworn levy positions. So that includes identifying the SRO, levy SRO for the fall. So that is great news. We're just getting everybody trained now, but they are at least hired. We have 1 of the 2 non-sworn in backgrounds almost complete. So we're moving along. Under the Advanced Crisis Intervention Training, we had 2 officers that attended one 23-hour course in Hillsborough, and that's really building on, they've already had the advance. And what that does is, should we participate in the mental health response team, they have the advanced training and additional. So it was very scope towards that team type approach. And I hope to bring forward some more information after we have some guest speakers at our Public Safety Advisory Board on that program, hopefully in 2 weeks. Some of the other positives is I never talked about the budget, and we're winding down, and we are well under our budget where we should be. So, that's something to celebrate. And now to really get to what I really want to share with all of you. And again, this is really in May, even though I'm reporting out in April. And that is, I believe you were made aware through the city manager that we did have a series of businesses downtown Maine that had rocks thrown in their windows. At least 4, if not 5 on Main, a couple along Highway 99, more towards 72nd Street, so, a fair distance away. We also had a report of Bridgeport Village, one in Tualatin and one in Tigard. We don't believe that's related. I think that's coincidental. We are reaching out. Commercial Crimes Unit takes the lead on that. We're trying to find any video that maybe adjoining businesses will have regarding that. At this point, there's no indication this is a hate crime or intentional or anything, any graffiti that would indicate that this was a statement being made. We do know one individual who has done this in the past, and we're trying to see again through our investigation if that individual is in fact responsible for this. But again, wanted to acknowledge that that's kind of unusual. We haven't had that for a while, and it does not look like anything nefarious, like they're testing the alarms and trying to break in. It was really vandalism at this point, and I think it was important to share. I believe you all received an update. We did a news update on the homicide, and again, it's an ongoing investigation. All parties are cooperating, and there is no danger to the public. This is pretty much a contained, isolated event. And again, everybody's cooperating, but we were able to identify the individual who did lose his life that night. So more that will probably be coming out. And again, Major Crimes Unit and Washington County DA have that. As far as, and again, you were made aware that the DA did request that Department of Justice Attorney General to look at the officer-involved shooting. Again, applying the new law, the House Bill 4301 that I know Attorney Shelby Rahala kind of gave you an update on what that law, how it's changed. I really have no further information. We're working cooperatively with whomever comes in to take another look at this. And certainly as soon as I know, I will share with all of you and the public as well as our department. And that is really the highlights that I have for all of you today, but always welcome the questions.
Thank you, Chief. Council, questions or comments? Council President Lube.
Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight, Chief. I just have a question based off of, the crime snapshot that you sent us in the dashboard. Some of those increases from April 20, look pretty big. And I'm wondering, is that simply, and I'm trying to remember April of last year, was that because we were pretty locked down and nobody was going anywhere? So crimes dropped, and so now we're back to more what I would consider a normal level?
Yeah, Councilor Lube, that is a great question. In particular, and again, some of these are proactive. So for example, like DUII, it comes out as red and it's a 600% increase, but that actually is the fact that we've had dedicated people working on that to make our roads safer. As you know, I think you approved the previous budget from the one we're currently in for an evening DUI car. And even though we've now filled it and don't really technically plan on putting him in that role until the turnover in July, but he's still been spending a lot of time doing that when calls allow. And then one of our laterals who came from Hawaii, she's a drug recognition expert, and she's now on her own, and she's also, doing quite a bit of DUI. So that 600% increase is actually to a positive. We have seen that our calls for service are increasing. So again, I think the world is getting a little bit back to normal as far as activity and moving out and about. The other thing that I think you were referring to as assaults, which is a broad term, and there was an 85% increase from April of 2020 to 2021. And when we peeled that back, half of them were domestic violence assaults. So again, I think whether people are still isolated or still struggling or stressors that impact, we are responding to those domestic assaults. And then the rest of the assaults, there were no real patterns. It was stranger on stranger at a convenience store, or kids at a mall confronting other kids. And so there was a variety, no other patterns, but definitely almost half were domestic violence. So you're right. And then we're also able to start picking up a little bit more of our proactive, so trying to get out and about, and also trying to make positive contacts. We've had officers walking the lakes and trying to really make contacts so that we're not always talking to people when they're in a crisis or when they need us. And I've received some very positive emails from our community expressing their appreciation for that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that update.
All right, Councillor Newton, then Councillor Goodhouse.
Yeah, really quick. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Chief. Kudos on getting those levy positions filled. Really congratulations. Good job. And I think I just want to remind folks that might be listening that we've got that really great transparency page. So if people want to look at the progress along what we're doing with regards to the levy, they can just check that out. So I just wanted to call that out, and good job on getting those positions filled. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're hoping to share a little bit, we're talking about a video, getting to introduce those levy officers. You'll see they're very diverse in a lot of different ways, both, some are laterals, some are entry level, diversity in gender, diversity in ethnicity, their lived experiences. And so I'm working with our PIO to really see what that video could look like, and I'm excited. I'm hoping that our community embraces them as our new guardians of the community. I'm extremely proud of them. Our background is very rigorous, and I have no hesitation for who we've onboarded, and I'm quite proud of the men and women who we've been able to add to this family. So thank you.
And Chief, I want to thank you again for presenting to the Leadership Tigard class today. It was a great presentation the Chief did. Really talked about kind of crisis management, communication, how events have happened recently, communicate with businesses and the public, but really highlighted how we have a great force. Our officers really are approachable. They really care about the community. And we have a chief that's really approachable, and the class really liked that, to know that they can reach out to her and she's responsive and transparent, and really just saw the how humble you were and how really you're passionate and you care about the community. It really afterwards, after you left, people were really really heartwarmed by that and want to know what they could do for the officers and the community and everything like that. So we have a great police force, great community, and it's good to always highlight that and get out there. And anyone watching, the chief is very responsive. Anytime, we have a great opportunity here as a council to be able to ask the chief questions and talk to the police force anytime, but so does every citizen. Send an email to the chief, and she said no matter how small it is, she'll get back, read it. And that's true. So please, reach out to the chief anytime you have a question on any of these things, concern, or anything you want to talk about.
Thank you, Councilor Goodhouse. And again, I do appreciate the opportunity, and I can't tell you enough how wonderful it was to actually see people in person and be able to present. You do really miss that touch point, 6 feet away, of course. But it was nice to do that. And yeah, great questions. Always tough to follow professional media people. And then come in and show your vulnerable side when you're leading through a crisis. But again, appreciate the opportunity, and it was a great group, and I look forward to more discussions.
Thank you, Chief. Good to see you. Any other final questions or comments? All right, thank you. We are actually running at least close to 20 minutes behind. Does anyone have any council liaison reports that are sort of absolutely critical? Otherwise, I want to move us forward. Anyone? Any counselors? Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda is used for routine items, including minutes and approval of contracts or intergovernmental agreements. Information on each item is available on the city's website in the packet for this meeting. These items may be enacted in one motion without separate discussion. Council members may request that an item be removed by motion for discussion and separate action. Tonight we'll be proclaiming May 16th to 22nd as Public Works Week, considering a resolution granting an exemption from property taxes under Tigard Municipal Code 3.50 for nonprofit low-income housing, considering renewal of Washington County Cooperative Library Services intergovernmental agreements, and considering a contract award for the 2021 Pavement Management Program preventive maintenance. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll
I
second.
second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please conduct a roll call vote.
Counselor Goodhouse,
Yes.
Counselor Newton,
Yes.
Council President Lube,
Yes.
Counselor Shaw,
Yes.
Mayor Snyder.
Yes. All right, consent agenda is approved unanimously. Thank you. All right, the next item is a public hearing to consider resolution amending the master fees and charges schedule related to water rates. The first thing I'm going to do is open the public hearing. Anyone that wishes to testify will be allowed to do so and may do so by calling in and getting in the queue, which we'd recommend you do now. That is by calling 503-966-4101. Management Analyst Rico, staff report.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Sammy Rico, Public Works Analyst, and I'm joined here tonight by our consultants at FCS Group, Doug Gabbard and Zach Hazel, as well as John Goodrich, Brian Rager, John Gillarducci, and Toby LaFrance. And we are all here tonight to provide you with the revised water rates based on the direction that we received from you on April 20th. And Doug and Zach will be giving the presentation tonight. And I'm pleased to report that we were able to provide this to the Water Advisory Board in advance in the special meeting last week on May 5th. And the WAB voted unanimously to express their support for the rates as presented. So some notable changes in tonight's proposed rates are the change in the methodology for single-family residential customers for their base rates, that there will be a flat fee for all of those customers, regardless of meter size. And then their tier thresholds will also be uniform for that class rather than varying by meter size. So if we remember back to the April 20th presentation options, this would be scenario number 4. And just a reminder that the impact of all of those scenarios is isolated to single family residential customers. So you'll see usage rates that vary by meter size for our other customers, commercial, multifamily, industrial, and irrigation. But that doesn't apply to those single family customers. And then the other change is just aligning the booster fees for single family residential customers to that same methodology as the base charge, so that those customers will see one uniform booster fee that's been calculated to cover the booster fee revenue required for those customers. And then all of the other rate assumptions that we've brought to you in past presentations have been held constant, and FCS Group will review those in the presentation. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Doug and Zach. Thanks.
All right, welcome. I am Doug Gabbard. I'm getting my, I'm trying to get the correct screen. There we go. That's what I want. All right, and can everyone see? Great. And I can only see. There we go. Okay. Well, thank you very much. As Ms. Rico said, I am Doug Gabbard with FCS Group. You'll also be hearing from Zach Hazel, and we're also joined by the senior member of the project team, John Ghilarducci. We have for you tonight a very brief presentation. One of the reasons it's so brief is it doesn't really contain anything new and anything you haven't heard before. All the decisions have been made, and what we're going to be showing you tonight that may look a little different is just the multi-year rate implications of the decisions that you've already made. And as a reminder, although Ms. Rico already did a wonderful job of doing this, let's review these changes. The booster charge is going to be based upon cost of service recommendations. It's going to be a little smaller now because we have isolated the cost that it's supposed to recover. And one of the things that we have not talked about too explicitly is this third bullet point under the booster charge, that it will not escalate during the phase-in. This is not something that we've decided, anybody has decided recently. This is consistent with your current practice, and it was also expressed during the process of the Water Advisory Board that if we're going to go to the trouble of isolating the actual cost to be recovered in the booster charge, let's not just continue to escalate them by the needs of the revenue requirement, and so they are not escalated during the phase-in period. The single family fixed charge will be a uniform for all single family customers, as we discussed last time. For multifamily volume charges, there will be a consistent flat volume rate, and the cost of service adjustments, which are, remember, adjustments by class, will be phased in over time. So with that, you're going to see a series of tables that look remarkably similar in structure. At the top of each table, you'll see the implementation date for each year's increase. These are designed to coincide with the fiscal year. And you will also see percentages relating to the overall rate increase that is required in each year. This is overall. This means the total revenue requirement. If you try to find these individual percentages manifested in the table below, you will have a hard time, because for any one set of charges, they don't necessarily match the overall rate increase, because there are differences by class, and there are also differences by fixed and volumetric charges. For the booster charge, as we said, that this is going down. So before, the smallest meter paid $5.15. If you are single family residents, you'll be paying $2.03, which is kind of a weighted average of the meter sizes in the single family residential group that are paying the booster charge. And then you will see the actual meter size fees broken out here, in all cases lower than they currently are. On the fixed charge side, you will see that we have implemented uniform charges for single family residential, and they are exactly the same as the smallest meter size for all other customer classes. Again, these continue to be the same percentages you will see on all the slides, but don't look for them implemented down here, because they differ by class and by fixed and volumetric. So that's the booster charge and the fixed charge. I'll let Zach take over and talk to you about the usage charge.
Thank you, Doug. Yes, as you can see in the usage charge, we have the 3 tiers broken out here, 1, 2, and 3. You will see that industrial, irrigation, and fire only have a tier 1 usage charge. That is because right now they face a uniform volume charge. If you might remember, the multifamily class is also moving to a uniform volume charge. However, they are still displayed in all 3 tiers. You'll just find that all 3 rates are the same once you get into fiscal year 2022. Each class has a slightly different rate increase, and that's based on the cost of service adjustments that we discussed with you in previous meetings. And then finally, these are the tier thresholds by class and for the single family class. As we decided last meeting, the single family class will now face one uniform tier threshold structure that's at 6 CCF and 15 CCF. For all other classes, they will vary, they will increase by meter size using the city's flow factor rates. And that is all that we have, and we're available for questions when appropriate.
All right, thank you. We will, does any member of the council have, we're not supposed to be in debate or opinion mode at this point, but in question mode. Councillor Shaw, do you have a question for the presenters?
I do. Thank you very much. And excellent presentation. Thank you. That helped clarify a number of questions in my mind. So thank you. On slide 6, where you talk about the tiered thresholds and you mentioned the other classes by meter, is there somewhere we can find what those classes are designated? Like what is it? Who's a 3-inch, who's a 4-inch, who's a 6-inch?
You're meaning like what specific customers or what kinds of businesses, for example?
Correct, Mayor.
Okay. Mr. LaFrance or Ms. Rico, I don't know who would be best to respond to that, but if Councillor Shaw wanted more information about that, could that be provided, or could you give some examples now?
I'd be happy to talk generally about how different customers fall into those categories, but then I would turn it over to Toby to talk about specific examples of customers, if utility billing could pull that for the council. But the meter size is based off of the plumbing code, and so it has to do with fixture count. And there's different thresholds set for a certain number of fixtures if you fall under the category that they're 5/8, and then between, I think it's, well, I don't want to speak offhand, but they fall into ranges of different fixtures, and they're calculated, and that's how meter sizes are established. Are you looking for specific examples of like how large a customer would be to fall into a various category?
Thank you, Samantha. Yes, from my understanding and lived example, 1-inch could be a single family residence as well. And so I want to make sure that that was within the single family residential and not classified as something different.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. So previous to this rate study, all customers flowed through this methodology where their rates were by meter size. And so all of our customers, like our single family residential customers, still vary in meter size between 5/8 and 1.5 inch, but we're essentially treating all of them the same. So they're rolled up into just a customer class. And so their meter size no longer informs the calculation for their rates. And so that's why their tiers and their base rates, as well as their volume rates now, will all be the same across customers.
Great. Thank you very much for the clarity. I very much appreciate it. Thank you, Samantha.
And just because I heard something in there that I want to make sure I clarify. Yes, if a single family residence has a 1-inch meter, it will be treated like all the other single family residences. But if a business has a 1-inch meter, it will be treated as a 1-inch meter with its own rates and its own tier thresholds.
All right, any other questions from the council on the presentation? All right, we'll move on to public testimony. City Recorder Krager, we did not receive any written comment, correct?
That's correct, we did not.
Mr. Nullup, are there any callers in the queue?
Mr. Mayor, at this time, no callers in the queue.
All right, is there any response to testimony or anything else by staff?
No, we received one question, I think, from Councillor Shaw, but I think we just answered it.
Okay. Given that, I will close the public hearing. And now we'll move on to council consideration of resolution number 21-14, and recognizing that we have had significant discussion and dialogue on this topic, over months and months and months. So for those viewing from the public tonight, you might think we're acting perhaps rather quickly, but that would definitely not be the case. If you want the history on this in the last 6 months or 9 months, I would encourage you to look back at prior council discussion. Is there a motion?
I move to approve resolution 21-14, Mayor.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? City Recorder, please read the number and title of the ordinance.
Resolution number 21-14, a resolution amending the master fees and charges related to water utility services.
And a roll call vote.
Councillor Goodhouse,
Yes.
Councillor Newton,
Yes, sorry.
Council President Lube,
Yes.
Councillor Shaw,
Yes.
Mayor Snyder.
Yes. All right, resolution number 21-14 is adopted unanimously. And wow, what a lot of work by the staff and our consultants and everyone. I want to thank you all, the Water Advisory Board, for getting to, I think, a great place that will really help our community and frankly simplify things. And also give people a little more incentive to conserve a precious resource in water. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
And with that, we'll move on to item number 5, which is a quasi-judicial public hearing to consider approval of the, I want to make sure I know how to say this so staff can correct me, the Froud annexation? Frowdy, okay. The pronunciation I didn't see in the materials, so sorry about that. But I will open this public hearing. City Attorney Rahala, you want to read the hearing procedures?
Yes, thank you, Council. This is a quasi-judicial land use proceeding. Council's decision must be based on the following substantive criteria: Community Development Code Chapters 18.710 and 18.720, Comprehensive Plan Goal 1, Goal 11, Goal 12, and Goal 14, Metro Code Chapter 309, and ORS Chapter 222. Testimony, argument, and evidence must be directed toward the relevant approval criteria described in the staff report or other criteria in the plan or land use regulations that apply to the decision. Failure to raise an issue clearly enough so that council understands and can address the issue precludes an appeal to LUPA on that issue. Failure of the applicant to object to a condition of approval may preclude an action for damages in circuit court. Members of the City Council will be asked whether they have a conflict of interest. If a council member has an actual conflict, the council member cannot participate. Council members must declare any contacts about this case with a member of the public. Council members must also declare if they have independent knowledge of relevant facts, such as from a visit to the site in question. A council member who describes ex parte contacts or independent information shall state whether the contact has impaired his or her impartiality or ability of the member to vote on the matter. After discussion of conflicts and ex parte contacts, any person may challenge the participation of a council member or rebut any statements made. The council member in question may respond to such a challenge. Thank you.
All right, thank you, City Attorney. City Councilors, anyone have a conflict of interest or any ex parte contact that they need to disclose? All right. And Mr. Nolip, are there any members of the public that are on the line that want to contest the councilor's objectivity?
Mr. Mayor, no callers.
All right. We'll move on to the staff report. Assistant Planner Smith.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councilors. My name is Lena Smith, and I'm Assistant Planner in the Community Development Department. Tonight, I'll be presenting on the Frowdy annexation. This proposal is to annex 2 properties located south of Bull Mountain Road and north of Beef Bend Road into the city of Tigard. The applicant is not proposing any new development on the subject properties at this time. If this annexation is approved, the subject properties will automatically be assigned to the Tigard R7 zone or medium density residential. City staff, including the engineering and public works departments, reviewed the applicant's proposal and determined there are adequate public facilities and services available to the subject properties. Additionally, as detailed in the staff report submitted to City Council, the proposed annexation meets all applicable approval criteria in the Tigard Community Development Code, Tigard Comprehensive Plan, Metro Code, and state statutes. This concludes the presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And the applicant is also here tonight in case you have questions for them as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move on. Ms. Smith, based on that comment, does the applicant have testimony? I guess I can ask them.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. My name is Mimi Dukas. I'm with AKS Engineering here on behalf of the applicant, Venture Properties. We are excited to be before you this evening for this annexation. Staff did a good overview of the project. The criteria for annexation is fairly straightforward. To simplify it a bit, you need adjacency to the existing city limits, you need adequate public infrastructure, and you need a willing applicant. We have all of those. Staff has talked about how infrastructure is adequate for the site. We are looking forward to proposing a future subdivision in this area, and so we will be working with staff on that application process. Aside from that, we're happy to answer any questions for you. Miss Frowdy, who used to be the owner of the property, was actually very active in the Tigard community, so I suspect she would be happy upon the annexation of this land. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dukas. Okay, let's move on to public testimony. City Recorder Krager, did we receive any written public comments on this topic?
No, Mr. Mayor, we did not.
Mr. Nolop, do we have any callers in the queue?
No callers, Mr. Mayor.
All right, staff, do you have any response to testimony?
We received 4 written comments, which was incorporated into the staff report. It was mostly questions from neighbors with clarification about what the R7 zoning would mean.
All right. And does the applicant have any rebuttal?
No, thank you.
All right, council, questions of the applicant or on the staff report? Okay. I will close the public hearing. Council consideration of ordinance number 21-10.
Mr. Mayor, this is Councilor Newton. Before I make a motion, I just want to say one of the last things I did as a staff member with the city was talk with Ms. Frowdy about annexing her property. So I know that she was trying to work with her son at the time. She was a long-time community member and gave a lot to the community. So I concur that I think she would be happy about this. So I'd like to make a motion to approve this ordinance. Thank you.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, City Recorder, please read the number and title of the ordinance.
Ordinance number 21-10, an ordinance annexing 2 parcels of land totaling approximately 11.26 acres and 1/2 of the adjoining Southwest Beef Bend Road right-of-way, approving the Froudy annexation ZCA 2021-00002, and withdrawing properties from the Tigard Water District, Washington County Enhanced Sheriff's Patrol District, and Washington County Urban Road Maintenance District.
And a roll call vote.
Councillor Goodhouse,
Yes.
Councillor Newton,
Yes.
Council President Lube,
Yes.
Councillor Shaw,
Yes.
Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Okay, ordinance number 21-10 passes unanimously. Welcome into the city.
Thank you.
All right. We had no non-agenda items. Next item on the agenda is administrative report. City Manager Reimer.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, good evening again, Mayor and councilors and my teammates that are on the call, as well as if there's any community members with us. I just want to start by a few thank yous. First is to our police department. It's National Police Week, so I want to thank Chief McAlpine and our entire team for being a strong part of our community and dedicated to our community, as well as a main part of our organization. So Chief, I believe, is still on. So on behalf of all of us, Chief, thank you for what all of you do day in and day out for our community. Second, in the same line of safety related to COVID, we've been talking about that for a number of months, obviously, and more recently, as we have slowly put in-person services back in place in recreation, courts, and the library. And I just want to bring it to the council's attention that I learned today that we have now approved 27 different safety plans for each of our steps. And so I think that really speaks highly to our team, the commitment by many people in the departments, Jennifer in our risk area, as well as the leadership team, for spending a significant amount of time thinking about the safety of our community, as well as our teammates, as we slowly, like I said, reintroduce in-person services. So kudos to all of them for 27 safety plans. I thought was quite an amazing number that we do that. A few other things. It's Move for May, which is a partnership between Parks and Rec and our Safe Routes to School. And this is an exciting time for us to partner with the school district, as well as the Pact with Pride, to encourage participation from our community, and we're in 5 different languages. And so just once again, trying to find ways to make sure we're active this May and always, but also trying to reach out to our entire community so they're aware of our services. I know the council's brought that up in other conversations, is making sure that we're doing a good job connecting and the awareness for all of those that live in our community. Streets for People has also started its 2nd season, and that's in 3 different locations. To date, it's been most of our responses have been very positive. And it's just one other way of putting traffic calming measures in for pedestrians, those on bikes. It's also helping with our Safe Routes to School. So thanks to the team in our Safe Routes area for pulling this together, and all of our teammates in community development. Library, as you know, we have opened the doors to the library on a limited basis, and pleased to report that to date we've already had over 2,000 visitors come in and just wander in the stacks and can enjoy a library like we all used to and took for granted, I think. And so kudos to Halstead and the team. We also are having the no contact library takeout is still very popular. And in April, it's reported that 4,321 people took advantage of that service. And so we're counting to the exact person, which is awesome. And I just want to say thanks to them for both the in-person as well as continuing this. So we're learning things along the way in both areas, and I think we're continuing to excel in those. As we've talked about in the past, we now have a booth at the Tigard Farmers Market. We had a team there on Sunday. We had Joanne, Nicole, and Eduardo, and I understand a few of you stopped by to say hi. So I think we had some great conversations, 55 conversations in total with community members, just explaining, introducing ourselves, who we are, what we do, and how we can help. And so once again, just one more way of connecting with our community. It's also part of the engagement, as the council talked about during your goal setting, of how do we create those positive relationships. And, you know, a lot of times it's one by one, right? It's the conversations that we have. And so kudos to the team. And I know others are going to be, will be there on Sunday mornings assisting as well. You may have seen on May 10th, we had a great article in the Pamplin Media about our new mural that the community helped create. And so That was another great event, and one more way of just continuing bringing the community together and let them express themselves through art, and then obviously display that for our whole community and our visitors and those that work here to enjoy on a daily basis. And last, we did get a resignation on our Public Safety Advisory Board, just a recent one, and so it'll be our plan to bring forward a plan to fill that at your May 25th meeting. As you know, you just went through this a couple weeks ago, and so we'll bring that back to you to consider filling that vacancy. And that concludes my remarks. Thanks, and have a great evening.
Thank you. And Mr. Reimer, just to clarify for the council, we're going to be bringing back the other person or candidate that we had sort of toiled over choosing for the Public Safety Advisory Board. So there's not going to be, it shouldn't be earth shattering to any of you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Since we just did all that work. Okay. We have no executive sessions scheduled after the meeting. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, roll call vote, please.
Councillor Goodhouse,
Yes.
Councillor Newton,
Yes.
Council President Lube,
Yes.
Councillor Shaw,
Yes.
Mayor Snyder.
Yes. We are adjourned. Good night, Tigard.
Bye, everyone.
Night.
Good night.